Alright, let's see. Where's my coffee at? I shouldn't be drinking this stuff at 6 in the morning, but here's what it is. Almost done with it. It's not bad, actually. Whew. Gets the, well, I'm not gonna say gets the blood flowing, but gets what, the heart pumping, I guess? Huh? So some stuff right here. Alright, cool. Making sure that's all connected properly. Looking good, looking good. Hey guys, welcome back. Thief here from Archer and Thief, and welcome back to the Thieves Den Storytime podcast. I, quite frankly, I can't think of an actual name for it. I mean, it's sort of a podcast where I have discussions, but then sometimes it's just me telling stories. So right now we're gonna fall a bit under the ladder of we're gonna talk about because Mother's Day has came and gone. We're going to be talking about mothers and I guess you could say forms of media and discussing like a few other like some of my favorite ones, some of my least favorite, and some that I think about from time to time in a different light, I guess. But yeah, so my first thought was just like what is like a mother, or what would you qualify somebody as a mother? And some people would think of the obvious ones like, well, dude, it's your mom. It's the person who gave birth to you, or gave birth, or it's a woman who has given birth. But I don't necessarily count that because there's always the whole thing where like surrogate mothers, in the sense of like, oh hey, we can't have kids. Can we impregnate you so you can have our kid, and then we can take it off your hands afterwards. We just need you to hold it for us. And sometimes people would actively donate their eggs or sell their wombs to people for money. It's a thing that happens. It's not something I would have expected, but it also doesn't surprise me when you think about it. It's like, yeah, it seems like some people would do. Also, if you guys see this picture right here, it is because I got scammed out of $50 by an AI artist who swore up and down they could fix the eyes on this character. And I said, because originally I was just gonna say keep the money, just don't even bother, because it looks awful. I hate it so much. But they're like, no, 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 I can fix it. They never did fix it because again, it's a big deal with me because this is my first Mass Effect character from the Legendary Edition when I first played it. Actually, wait, no, that's not true at all. It's from the trilogy I played on the Xbox. The one I played on the Legendary Edition looks different. Actually, wait, no. I did do a playthrough of the Legendary Edition, but only for the first game. I never jumped into the second. I probably should at some point. Well, no, because I'm streaming it now, so I guess when I do jump into it, I'll be streaming that. Guess it doesn't matter for now. Huh? Hmm? Hmm? What the hell is this? Boom. So my Wi-Fi is always on the fritz for some reason. Okay, okay. It looks fine. Looks fine. Cool. I like that. It's like, oh hey, your frames have dropped. I was like, these are still images. They don't go anywhere. I know I could also stream over like gameplay footage and stuff, but whenever I'm talking, but it's like, yeah, I like to, what's the word? Relax a little bit more. Also, if you guys can't tell, it's like 6 in the morning over here, so I'm a little tired. But I do have da, 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 blueberry white Arizona tea. And like I said, some coffee. It's not the best coffee. It's not even the strongest coffee, but it is and coffee, a coffee, whatever. Same difference, right? Well, fuck. Now I'm out of coffee. Okay. Um, hold on. I did purchase other beverages beforehand. Wait. Oh yeah, got a Red Bull. Shouldn't be drinking this before bed. Fuck it. If I am gonna drink it, I'll just be up till 8 o'clock then, and then I'll go to bed because I'm going to work till 4. Wake up, shower, rinse, repeat. You know that whole shebang, shabazz, whatever. Cheers, friends. Oh, that's good stuff. Don't worry, I won't be dehydrated. I also have water. Now, the topic I'm thinking of right now is in regard to mothers, because I have a few examples I would like to discuss, and some that just kind of came to my mind at one point. Mm. Because I want to talk about some of the ones I've seen in media from, video games, movies, animes, and, maybe a little bit of my IRL stuff in regards to, well, not how I see mothers personally, but just kind of like, how it is to an extent. Because, for instance, like when I asked a second ago what a mother is, I I don't really have the best answer for it. Like my answer is just like it's someone who nurtures, someone who cares for you, somebody, and yeah, I have to say it has to be someone that's female. Otherwise, they would just be your father, like a father figure. But like someone that looks out for you, that nurtures you, takes care of you, and is generally doing their very best to help you get forward in life. Which you can make the argument of like, oh, well, doesn't that fall under like a caretaker of sorts? Like, yes, but you can't see someone as a mother figure if even if they're not like your biological mother. Like, I had a friend who basically his family, like his aunt, was basically his mother because his parents had to give him up because they weren't good people. So yeah, same thing. It's like you know they don't have to directly be your like birth parents to be considered your mother. And then some people have mothers who just aren't good mothers. And like that's one thing that always bothered me is just watching court cases and stuff where people are fighting over custody of the child. Or it's even worse where you see one side fighting more than the other in the sense of like they really want that kid and the other person might get the kid even if they don't deserve the kid because they don't care about the kid like the other person does. And it's like it's real iffy sometimes. Because quite frankly, every time I see that stuff, I'm just like, well, I'm not in that scenario. But at the same time, it's crazy to think about. Like, because once you have a kid, everything you do after that becomes for the sake of your kid. You can't be selfish no more. Because you have a little life on you now, on the line. Also, another reason I bring this up is because my sister also just had a kid. So I now have, well, I already had nephews, so I was already an uncle. But now I have a niece, and I don't know how to feel about that because it's tricky for me to think about because on one hand, like I'm happy. On the other hand, I'm also kind of just like I don't like the idea of my sisters getting knocked up because, well, as the older brother, I naturally just don't approve of it. But it's like, they were gonna meet people at some point. They were gonna have kids at some point. It was only a matter of when, not if. So I can begrudgingly accept that. However, though, it's one of them things of just kind of like, how am I supposed to treat this one? Like I'm used to the males because both I have two nephews, little rough hatting kinds. They run around and stuff. Now, granted, it's a new one. Maybe they might grow into more of a like a tomboy aesthetic, or they might even be like a very feminine, girly girl type of person. I don't know yet. This they were literally born like, well, I'm not gonna say yesterday, but like a few days ago, only a few days old. So they got time to. I'm not gonna say mellow out, but like figure something out. But it's so crazy to think about now. God help me when I figure out why I say figure out how to have kids. when I have my own kids. Cause like that is some crazy to think about. Oh right, I was gonna try this tea. I've never actually had blueberry white tea. But one of the first characters I thought about for some reason in regards to like mothers, right? And this is because I was looking at, or not looking at, but like thinking back to the movie Friday. Like, yeah, Craig's mom. What the hell was her name again? Yeah, she knows. Hey girl, what you doing? Just on my way. Oh, Sister Jones. Now what the hell was Craig's mom's name in that movie? Because like I don't want to just say Craig's mom. Be, is it Betty? Debbie? Yeah. Okay. So they just say Mrs. Jones. Yeah, because it's Anna Marie Horsford. I'm pretty sure they say her name in like the third movie. Betty Jones. There we go. Yeah, it was Betty. Okay. Yeah, get your ass off of that heifer. All right. So yeah, it was her. And the reason I was thinking about that because there's like a few scenes in the movie where she's kind of just talking to Craig here and there, about him getting fired from his job. Another one about like, the cereal where it's like we ain't got no milk. He was what? Now she was simple, like in the movie, but she was cool. She was kind of just like she saw Miss Parker, and she goes like, "Hey, who's calling? That girl?" Like she had that little bit of sass to her, and she's like, "You have no game." Like, but I thought she was intense. My favorite part from her in the movie is when like Craig gets in the fight afterwards, and he like gets choked out by Debo, and Debo starts hitting him while he's unconscious for a bit, and she goes over with the gun like, "See, he's not fighting fair," and like she's about to go shoot him. Which, I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone would have complained if Betty had just shot Debo. That would be a whole different movie. But it's just how it is. It's how the movie had to go. So I would say she's a good mother who wants the best for her kids. Now, I would say a bad mother would be like Mother Gothel, because I wasn't watching nothing like Tango related. I don't believe it was the. See, this is what happens when I drink too much and I black out because I forget stuff sometimes. But I know it was a medley. I think it was a Peter Hollins one where he does like Disney villains. Because I really like his medleys. Those are fun. Is it Peter Hollins? I'm pretty sure it's Peter Hollins. I don't want to just name drop people and get it wrong, but I'm pretty sure because he has a really cool set of medleys. Because he has one for Halloween, Christmas, I believe so. Oh, he has one for Nickelodeon. That's a good one. Yeah, it was for Disney villains. 7 years ago. 44 million though. I'm curious to see what his most popular one is. It might be the Disney one. But he has an anime one that's really good too. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. But Mother Gothel in the Tangled movie, I remember being like, first it was like, oh hey, I'm keeping this flower, which for some reason, which I know, like they're like, hey, she doesn't uproot the flower because she doesn't know if that's gonna kill it or stop the curse or whatever. And she's trying to live basically forever. I'm like, realistically, just uproot the flower when you first get it, because it's not like she wasn't doing that. She's been there multiple times at that point. Uproot the flower, put it in a pot, take it with you. Take good care of it. Make periodic trips here and there to it. Boom, in the movie. But then, like, the guards find it, like, they turn it into, like, a thing. The queen drinks it, survives, and then, has Rapunzel. But then she basically just keeps her alone in the tower for her whole life and just says, like, you are never allowed to leave. And even when she's a grown woman who basically figured out how to do everything in life, which is crazy impressive. I'm surprised she didn't, like, go insane from the isolation. But I guess just because she always kept herself busy in the movie. But then she gets gaslit the entire time by Mother Gothel, like, oh man, it's so scary out there. There's a lot of bad people, bad things, monsters, criminals, like people that really want to eat you. Ooh. And then she's like, but if you stay with Mother Rapunzel, you're gonna be perfect. You'll be safe. You'll be fine. You'll be this, this, and this, and this. She could have turned her like now. Granted, it's not this kind of movie, but she could have turned her into like a panicky, anxious, anxiety having like crazy person where it's like she just like refuses to go outside. Like she would like you would think she would burst into flames if she took a step out the door, which luckily didn't happen. Because that'd be a whole different movie. Flynn would be trying to get her to take a step outside. She'd be like clinging to his face like a cat, trying not to like touch the ground until she realizes she won't die. Mm. But yeah, no, she is a bad mother. Besides the fact that she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, hey, you know that guy you met that you fell in love with? Yeah, he's gonna hang for the crime of kidnapping you that he basically didn't do, but on top of like stealing the crown, which I mean I'm gonna be honest with you, he definitely did do that though. Like he was stealing the stuff, so yeah, he just happened to get away. And then what was the other one? Another example of a good mother. See, I want to throw in another Disney one, but I feel like that's too easy. I'm gonna go the Nickelodeon route, and I'm gonna say I'm not saying Fairly Odd Parents, no, because like technically there's godparents, so can't really use that thing. And even if you want to go like, oh well, Timmy's parents loved him, the reason he got the godparents was because they were neglectful of him and left him with Vicky most of the time. Yeah, they might love him when they're around, but typically they aren't thinking about him like that when they're out and about doing whatever they're doing. So I'm gonna go with the Danny Phantom route and Mrs. Fenton because there are several episodes where she actually, on top of like showing her love for Danny and stuff, it shows that she's actually a very like capable and like loving mother who, at the same time, she kicks ass. She fights ghosts all the time. Like she legit can fuck people up, which is really good. And she the most important thing too is like even if she's not considered the best, she tries. She puts forth an effort to be in her kids' lives, which is a good thing. And see now now I gotta think of one for Cartoon Network also. Let's see, there's See, I'm thinking of like I can't. See, for some reason, my dumbass I was thinking like Amazing World of Gumball, and I was like, no, no, I don't know, because Nicole is like, I mean, she's a good mother for her kids. She really is. She raises all of them, but she's also just kind of like the word itself is also just mad. So it's kind of tricky to see because half the time she doesn't like physically harm them, but she will threaten physical violence by punching holes in walls and scaring them. So it's like I don't know. And I know someone's gonna be like, "Oh, your parents never threatened to whoop you." I'm like, "No, they just whooped me. There was no threats. They just did it." And then would have me sit down and be like, "Yeah, behave yourself." More of a reactionary thing. They ain't preemptively say like, "Stop it, you gonna get a whooping." They would just be like, oh, "Okay, yep, didn't do it again. Tell you that much." It's actually pretty good. Oh yeah, now if we're talking about bad parents though, yeah, definitely like just pick a person from South Park. Like any like any mother from South Park is a bad one. Well, see, actually, maybe Kent, not Kent, see, not Kenny, Kyle and Stan's parent, like moms. Like I know the whole thing about like with Eric being like Kyle's mom's a bitch, she's a great fat bitch, she's the biggest bitch in the whole world, like all that, but like she means well, even if she can be overbearing, and then there's Stan's mom, which she seems the most normal, especially compared to Randy. So yeah, I'll give her that one. Although some anime parents you never really get to see be parents too, because most of them just die or disappear or this, that, and the third. Like Goku's parents. It's like everyone's always like, oh yeah, Gene wasn't like a warrior like Bardock, but she was like nicer, sweeter, and she could have been a good mom. It's like, was she? We saw how Raditz turned out. I don't even think he referenced her. And then Goku somehow, well, he never knows of his family until like unless you count any of the what ifs, any of the stuff from Xenoverse, or just that random flashback he just somehow got in Super, where he had like a flashback to his parents because they also changed Goku's backstory, which people were arguing made him look more like Superman, but I digress. But it's such a funny thing to think about because it's just like, oh well, I guess that's just something that's just gonna happen, you know? And then what was it? I think no, well, no, just parents both died, so yeah, I can't really count that one. Well, yeah, because Kushina had him, then Obito attacked, then they died, and then like he didn't see her again till way later in life when Kurama was trying to like overtake him or something, and she stopped him. And she never came back during the war, but to be fair, she wasn't a fighter, at least not to the extent that like someone like Minato would have been, which I still find hilarious because they put her in the Storm games and she basically just fights with cooking utensils. That's like her whole thing. I think her special move is she runs up and hits someone with a frying pan, and then her ultimate she just gets really cartoonishly mad and just starts punching people. And I think she had like a special one against Minato where she like tries to hit him, but then he calms her down. She like casually slaps him because she's so goddamn strong. It sends him flying. Pretty much actually, yeah, no, pretty much most animes I can think of have parents that are just not there, dead, or like the ones that are super nice are usually they get killed off. Like what was it? Not it wasn't Yomagan, no. Wasn't it? It wasn't Black Lagoon. Well, actually, no, because Revi's parents were, or at least her dad was a piece of shit. I remember that. Just cracked bottles over her head and stuff. Like just a real piece of work that one. And then I think I never watched Full Metal. I just know their parents dead. One Piece, Luffy, does he know his parents? I don't think he does. I don't even know what happened to them. Bleach, I think Ichigo's folks are alive still, but again, haven't watched Bleach. Don't know. Kill la Kill. Whew, that one is that is a doozy and a half right there. Those are some very. Well, actually, no, because Ryoko's dad died, and then does Sasuke even know her dad? No, but it's the same person because they're both sisters. But their mom, the crazy, busty, psycho predator of a mom, is just yeah, she's not a good mother. Oh god, I just realized fucking Baki family too. Like again, I started watching Baki. I started with the original before I jumped to any of the newer stuff. But like Jesus Christ. Although to be fair, the first series I would argue is the most serious in terms of like its story because then it goes off the rails with the newer stuff. Then it just kind of becomes like a parody of like itself, and it's just kind of like I'm all for brotherhood and people gaining insight through fighting and strength and all this other stuff. But I'm also just kind of like they be doing some weird shit in that show now. And I'm still on the prisoner arc, or at least a little bit going into past it, because I already know they took out at least two or three of them by now, and there were four of them. So let's see how that goes. Boy, but then I remember Baki's mom. She was really well crazy for Yujiro. That was like the whole thing. She was crazy for him. He really hated Baki, even though Baki loved her because Baki at the time, being a fucking child, was not strong enough to face Yujiro at all. Which I mean, he's strong enough to fight him now. I don't know, not necessarily win, but put up a fight. And Bucky's always learning new techniques and stuff too. So I don't even know if he might have gotten stronger than the last time I saw heard about them fighting. But I thought it was interesting because I was just kind of, I remember at one point when I first watched it, like she goes to see Baki and everyone's just kind of like, everyone sees her and goes like, "Oh, dude, your mom is hot," and then she just macks on him in front of everybody, and they go, "What the fuck am I looking at?" And it's just like, okay, that was a bit weird. And then you find out later how her and Yujiro just randomly met, and then she's like, "Yeah, she was gonna get married to some other guy." She sees Yujiro. Yujiro's just like staring at her for some reason, and then they get back to the hotel room, and then like this perfect guy she's supposed to marry just bitch slaps her, and I'm like, okay, maybe this guy isn't so nice. Then Yujiro shows up, kills him, and then they like make love. Well, I say make love, they were probably just fucking. But yeah, that was a whole thing apparently. And then she basically just like started. I'm not gonna say grooming Baki. That sounds weird, but like training, making sure he had all the training he needed to put up a good fight against Yujiro. And then Yujiro basically was gonna kill Baki in front of everybody, and then her like mama bear instincts finally kicked in, and she started attacking Yujiro. And then he like breaks both her hands, gets her on a bear hug, and like snaps her spine and kills her. And then yeah, Baki wakes up from being unconscious and sees like his mother's corpse coddling him or something. And then he like what like again, my whole thing with that too is just like I get that he's a terrible father, but someone told me he's like, yeah, he's not a good father, but he's perfect for like Baki as a father. And I'm like, I'm surprised Baki. I was like, does Baki want to kill him? Probably not. He has too much respect for him, but he definitely wants to. I'm pretty sure he'll want to avenge his mother at some point, like in time. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting off topic here. Basically, yeah, Psycho Mother. We're gonna ignore her for right now. Oh God, The Walking Dead. That was another one. Like, see, I don't know when it comes to like, because again, Rick was in a coma. She thought Rick was dead, right? Started hooking up with Shane. That was a whole thing. Didn't bother, like, for kept it a secret from Rick. I did Carl know? I don't remember. I'm talking about like his mother, by the way. And then she was pregnant. She had the kid. She died. I'm pretty sure it was her name Laura, Lori. I think it was Lori. And I remember she was just like, really. And see, I'm so confused when I think about it too, because I'm just sitting there looking at it like, all you had to do was just confess. Tell your husband what happened, try to fix it or something. But like, no, you didn't do that. Instead, you just let it go off the rails, and eventually they had a confrontation, and then one of them died, and it was like a whole thing. It was like, Jesus, man. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, that could have been avoided so easily. But at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, she like, oh right, I forgot. She also like gave Rick PTSD and haunted him for like several episodes afterwards too. And then he ended up with Michonne, which I don't believe ever happened in the comics. I'm pretty sure Michonne ended up with what's his name, Luther, like the guy with the dreadlocks. But then I think he died at some point. Like I think they mounted his head on a spike. It was weird. Anyways, Ezekiel, I think was his name. Again, I didn't read the comics. I just there were just people that did read the comics that showed it on YouTube, so I watched them along with it. It was like comics read, comic historian, like a few other things that talked about like The Walking Dead and stuff. Oy, and it is so different from the show. But to be fair, a lot of comics are they get super graphic in certain areas. There's a lot of stuff that like takes into account. Like I know people say this all the time. It's like, oh, if you look at the boys comic book, it's so much different from the show. It's like, yeah, yes, it is. And same thing, Invincible changed a lot of stuff. Some stuff they kept the same. Oh God, I forgot about that too. Oh, See, I can't. I don't really have an opinion on Debbie from that show though. It's just kind of like, you know, she's there. Which again, don't get me wrong, she's cool to an extent. Like I get it, but like I haven't watched any of the newer seasons yet, so like I know of them because everyone and the mother kept fucking posting everything. Like I already know how the fights go. I already know a lot of the scenes that happen. I already know a lot of the comparisons to the comics. It's unavoidable because the show is out there. That's what happens when a show is popular too. You cannot hide from it unless you stay off the internet, and even then, people will still talk about it. Like it happened with My Hero. It happened with The Walking Dead. It happens all the time. The only thing I haven't gotten spoiled for is Sinners, and that's just because all people have said is, "Oh, you should go see it. It wouldn't do you. It wouldn't do justice for me to tell you. You have to watch it for yourself," which I will put time aside to go do at some point. Probably on my next day off or when I get my next check. And then, what was another one I was thinking of now? It just because again, some characters you can't really like equate for, if that makes sense in regards to them being mothers. Like oh, what about SpongeBob's mom? We barely ever see her. Oh, what about like Jimmy Neutron's mom? I was like, I mean, she has some moments here and there, but like, not enough for me to talk about it. Like people like Otis from the Barnyard show or the movie. Never see him. Never see Poe's mom from Kung Fu Panda, as far as I know. You see his dad, just not his mom. Nemo's mom died in like the first minute. And again, even if we wanted to say like, oh, well, what about like Hiccup and Astrid? They had kids. Yeah. In like was it the fourth and final movie, which then they had like a spin-off series that took place several was it 100 years or so down the line when everyone else was dead and gone. And then now they're doing a live action one again. So it's like, yep, there's that now. Same thing. Ben 10. Don't ever see them. The whole point. You never see them. Like you could even make the argument to an extent of like, oh, well, what about Pokemon when these these people had kids, or what about like when these Pokemon get laid eggs? Well, I was like, are we talking wild animals now? Because technically, yeah, that could be a thing, but again, how you don't ever really see them get raised. Like sometimes it would just be like, oh hey, this random animal hooked up with other animals and had babies at some point. We just don't know how they treated them, but you just know that they're there. They're basically just background like people. They're just there just to exist, just so you know they did something. Like when I was playing Dragon Age, right? When I first beat the game and I played the Witch Hunt DLC, when you have to go find Morgan, it literally they really get or like when you play like actually it might have been Awakening because it goes like, oh yeah, these are what your companions have been doing while you're out and about trying to do this and this. And I remember specifically one of the first things they said was like, "Oh yeah, you're you're my boy Warhound basically became like a war hero and had litters upon litters of puppies. You don't ever meet any of them. Just know that like he was getting it like just with every female dog they had. Everyone wanted to be bred by the war hero hound. Just all the puppies in Tam. I said Tamriel. God damn it. Like Pharrell then just belong to your dog now. He is the alpha. But that's another thing too. It's the same thing with like comic book characters too, because some of them have kids, from what I recall. Like I know, what is it? Especially nowadays, the Fantastic Four, Sue Storm, she has kids, which is like what Franklin Richards, and I forgot the other one. And then someone said Emma Frost had one. Someone said Storm might have one, which I was like, I didn't know that. That's news to me. And then I know people like Jessica Jones had some. She had a kid with Luke Cage. I remember that. Spider-Man has a few kids depending on the timeline and the universe and wherever the hell so. Wolverine has several kids, so I don't. But if we're talking about mothers specifically, that's an interesting one. Does Hannah does Hannah have kids? I don't know. And then who else? No, She-Hulk doesn't. Or at least I'm pretty sure she hasn't had no kids yet. I don't count symbiotes because they basically can spawn off of other things, so they don't really give birth in the same way. Which is thank God for that. Well, that's it. No, actually, no. Even with DC, if you think of like the main DC characters, do any of them actively ever have children? And no, I'm not counting Superman. Like, cause like, was it Lois Lane maybe? But even then, that's tricky. Cause yeah, no, Catwoman didn't have kids. I don't think. Harley Quinn does have a kid. I just don't know if the Injustice timeline story where she has like Connor, I think is the kid's name, or whatever the kid's name was that Harley had. Because I remember in that storyline, Harley, while still being upset with the Joker, or not upset, obsessed, was like, I'm gonna have a kid. And she had a kid. I don't know if it's the Joker's kid, but it was just one of them things that were like, oh, well, now that she's had the kid, da da da. Like she's trying to keep him safe, so she disappeared for a while, put the kid somewhere else, and then just came back. He's like, and the Joker didn't even know she left. It's like, yeah, it's really fucked up. But again, she's technically a mother. I just don't know if it's like a canonical thing that she still has the kid, unless that's just the Injustice timeline exclusively, which is interesting. Black Canary, I'm pretty sure has a kid. Her and Green Arrow, which is cool. Which is cool. And then what else was there? See, I'm trying to think of villains and stuff now too, but I'm also just like, did any of them ever have children? I know Talia did. I'm not. I assume she's not a very good mother to Damien because she basically had his clone kill him, and then Batman beat the shit out of the clone, and then apparently resurrected him by going to Apocalypse in his Hellbat armor to save his life, and then he came back briefly with superpowers or some shit. I don't know how that works for him. It was weird. Yeah, and then Jason's mom was Jason Todd. His mom, I'm pretty sure, was a junkie. That's what led to his death. And then what was the other stuff? See, that's the thing. There's a lot of people that you could see. Would you consider someone a pseudo parent or more of a big sister role in like these comics and stuff? Because the more I look at them, I'm kind of just like, I could see them being like, a person of like interest to certain people, but I'm like, would you call them a mother figure? Probably not if they're the same kind of um what's the word? Like if they were on the same age, like 5, 6 year age difference, that's still not too bad. But but it's something to think about. However, one thing I always think of too is like just because again when I'm talking about like stuff like Mass Effect 2, because I know there are mothers in that game. There's Samara, the Asari Justicar. I know that. There actually there is that female Krogan from the third game. I don't remember her name though. I know she was the one that you had to help with curing the genophage. And then was there another mother I'm missing out on that I can't remember? Let's see. It was what was the name? Because it's not Liara. Also if you guys are wondering, some of the people I put in this like slideshow do have kids. Like if you look right here, it's my Sand OCs that I made in Xenoverse, Ebony and Snow. They canonically, well, according to the person that used to own Ebony, one of my friends, when we came up with their stories, they have kids. They have two. Although one of them was kind of forgotten about, which she thought she always made like a running gag out of it. It was just like, where are the kids? Kids. Oh right, there is another one. It's like, I'm sorry, I forgot they had two. I didn't keep tabs on. I barely kept tabs on the first one. I'm just saying, Sans are very offhand parents. But yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to see characters grow and develop and start families. I mean, hell, even in some of the games like that I played when I used to play Sims, I would just go from generation to generation to generation. I'd play until the male character and females I made had kids, and then you know, like retired or something. Then after that, once they did all that and they retired, it's like okay, on to the next batch, and then I would just keep them going and make them learn skills and figure stuff out while they're doing all that, and then again, family after family after family, and it's a wonderful thing to do. And another one of my sisters is having a kid too, which again, I'm not against them having kids. It was bound to happen eventually, right? They're grown. They are old enough to, like, I'm not against the idea. I'm just caught off guard because it's not something you just think about. Hell, I'll probably have kids someday. God help the mother. But I don't know. It's always a thing I like to see too, because I always like looking up like animal documentaries from time to time, just random ones. Because again, you will never see an animal fight harder. Well, that's a lie, because some animals don't really fight for their young. If they think that their young is gonna get murdered, sometimes they'll just leave and be like, "Whoop, on to the next batch. Better go. Better start ovulating real quick so I can have more." Which again, the animal kingdom is really fucked up because like some animals will basically like the males in some animal things will basically look at the female that just had a kid and they're like, "Oh, are you not in the mood to mate? Oh, well, okay. Well, that's your kid, right? Cool. I'm gonna go stomp that thing out in front of you, and while you try to stop me, and once that thing is dead, it's gonna force you to get horny, so that you can have my kids." And then it's like a whole thing. Which again, animals are way more cruel than humans, and it's not even because they are doing something that would like that we wouldn't do. It's like no, it's that they don't have to think about it. That's all nature and instinct to them. They don't justify it with anything. They just do it. We if we do something that fucked up, we at least have to think about it for a second. Sometimes maybe even two. Like you ever see a like I'm pretty sure it was it penguins are really good parents when they can have kids. That being said, if the mate doesn't come back or like they get out of the hut and they freeze to death or they lose their baby, they are inconsolable. It's the same thing too if the mate dies. They basically just go like, "Well, we were made for life, so I'm not looking at any other females now. Excuse me. I'm gonna go die in a corner or something." It's like, but yeah, no, they're actually pretty good parents. Although the funny thing about that too is like if a female didn't get a mate or lost her baby, her while her like female like hormones and stuff are like spiking while she's in that stage, she'll try to steal other females' babies from them. And then the second, which I find funny to think, well, not it's kind of fucked up when you think about it, but like what I find funny about that too is like imagine you take someone's like baby from them, you tuck them between your legs or whatever, and you're like, haha, I have a kid now. The second that like those like hormones and feelings leave their body, they will straight up just abandon the chick and be like, okay, yep, we're done here, get out. Like I'm gonna go eat fish now, and then the baby's gonna be like, well, what the fuck just happened? Now the question that I see is like, if a female abandons a chick after successfully stealing it, does the mother just take the chick back? Or like, do they just neglect the chick? How does that even work? Like, I don't know. I really, really don't. It's confusing to me. Mm. Mothers, motherlies, yes. There are some interesting mothers I've been seeing here and there pop up on like TV shows, YouTube, just general qualities of stuff too. Because I'm just kind of like, oh, hey, I didn't expect all that. Like some celebrities had kids, I didn't even know they had them, and I just see them go like, I'm sorry, this person had what now? It's like, oh yeah, no, this person has like 6 kids and this, and this, and I'm sitting there looking at it like, oh, I did not know that. That is definitely interesting, which, good for them. They're carrying on their own legacy of not dying alone. Like, they just spawned out some kids. That's perfect. That's beautiful. That's adorable, right? Also, that's my new 3D model. I had them change the colors and stuff. They made it look so cool, and they gave me like actual clothes. So I'm not just wearing hand and leg warmers and a hoodie. It's like, nope, I have pants and shoes and fucking jackets. I have options. Yeah. Now, and don't get me wrong, I know I have a soft spot for all the women, but even then, like, I know people like to use the term, MILF, which if you're unfamiliar with it, is mother I'd like to fornicate. And my thing is like this. I'm like, what are the qualifications for that? Is it the same thing as what qualifies as a mother? Like, do you have to have? Is it someone you have to give birth to, or is it somebody that you can just adopt, or is it like, what are the qualifications for it? Because technically speaking, you can have a kid. As weird as it's gonna sound, you can have a kid at any age you are able to give birth, which is really fucked up for a lot of reasons. Because you don't ever want to have it too early, because I'm pretty sure that's a crime. Anyways, but like typically when people show off like MILF, they'd be like, oh yeah, these are women that are like in their like what early the mid early to late 30s usually, maybe late 20s if you're pushing it, and it's just kind of like. Is there like an age requirement? Do you have to hit a certain age threshold before you're allowed to be it, or do you just have to have the kid? Do you have to have a certain like, is there a certain way you carry yourself that you have officially reached that status? Because again, like I said, just because you have kids does not does that qualify you as a little milf? Hmm? Is that how that works? I wish I knew. I really do. Because now, when I think about it, it's like now every lady that has one is just gonna think they are one. And it's like that. Is that how that works? And you gotta be like, well, no, they're also gonna be attractive. It's like, why? It's like, well, because it's called mothers. I'd like to frolic with, and it's kind of just like, oh, so they have to be physically attractive, do they? Because people also say the notion of like, oh, guys will screw anything. So like, I feel like that's not the criteria. Any point in a storm kind of situation, right? Like you're gonna dock your ship at any pad you're able to that's open for you. Hmm. Speaking of mothers, I got my for Mother's Day. I don't know what you guys got y'all's folks, but I ended up getting my mother a like a bundle because normally she doesn't like any of the stuff I get her. Well, she says she does, but I'm like she doesn't ever use it. I get her necklaces or rings or whatever. Never wears them because she doesn't wear jewelry apparently. I got her like something involving Jesus. I think she used it one time and then never touched it again. She complained that I got my dad a Viking mug that he could drink out of, so I got her an Egyptian queen cat goblet. Doesn't use it. Never used it. I don't think I've ever seen her pour a single glass of wine in that thing. I'm pretty sure I've used it more than her, and it's just so somebody got some use out of it. So I was like, this year I was like, okay, maybe I don't know what to get her for her birthday or for Christmas or whatever or the holidays. Which I think I do. I think I do. I shop pretty well for that lady. That being said, I was like, let's keep it simple then. I'm gonna get her a bundle. And here's a little bundle I found on Amazon. Don't tell her it was on sale. But it had a candle in it. It had like it had a little pink blanket, which I thought was neat. It also came with like a little what's the word? It's not like I mean it's a cup. It's basically just a cup. But it's kind of like the ones you that come next to the what's the word? Think of like a cup with a little see-through lid on top that you can basically just put ice and alcohol in. Is that kind of a thing? The one you're just supposed to sip with. They got one of those. And then, put a little note on the thing, signed it and everything, said love you and all that good stuff. She got socks too, like wool socks, like the good kind, the good shit. And then what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, there was so much I was thinking about the other day when I had to get them that gift. But I think that my favorite gift that I got them. I say it's my favorite, which is why I'm so butthurt that she doesn't ever like utilize it. It was just like I got her. I don't know. I'm actually kind of annoyed that like she just never really bothered using it, and it was just like a little um. It wasn't a sleep mask, no, because she was complaining that she couldn't sleep. So I was like, oh okay. I got her a waterfall because I was like, maybe she needs some like background noise, like ambiance or whatever. And she put a little bit of water in it once, and then never bothered to refill it when it went out. Which I'm just kind of like, okay, I get it. Maybe it's not your thing. But bear in mind, outside of that, I was looking at a sleep mask. I got her several different things for her to try to go to bed. I was like, look, I hit you with everything that's not a tranquilizer. You gotta utilize one of these things, or you just gonna have to take a nap some other way, which is not a healthy idea. Let me say that right first and foremost. Hmm. But it's just been weird because on one hand, right, I like the idea of like people growing up and having kids. But then you see how irresponsible some people are, and then you find out they have kids, and you're like, oh no, that poor soul. What are you gonna do to them? But again, I don't know. It always just felt like, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm over here trying to talk about favoritism and whatnot. Meanwhile, I'm over. It's not even worth it. One thing that bothers me is everyone always said when I had a nephew, they're like, "Oh yeah, you gotta spoil them. You get them the gifts the parents can't give them." I was like, "Dog, they got like multiple grandparents from both sides of the family, great grandparents, and like a bunch of like nieces and uncle wasn't aunt. Sorry, said the wrong thing there. I was like, there is nothing I'm able to do about that. Literally nothing. Like I can't top all that. These people got like multiple workshops. They got little ideas. They got little group chats to be like, hey, make sure you get this, that, and the third. Ignore this. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Long as we're clear on that. Let me say I whooped his ass. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Brock Lesnar for some reason in the game, and I don't know where my mind just went with that one. Now I feel stupid. Hmm. Hmm. One thing I always recommend you do at some point if you're able, take your mom out to eat. Just don't say where, just somewhere simple. You don't gotta break the bank or nothing. Just be like, hey, you wanna talk? Or you wanna just go eat over here or something? And then boom. Instant family bonding followed by the occasional occasional question. Which at that point is basically you just trying to learn more about the person that gave birth to you. You learn what they can do, you learn where they're from and how the mannerisms go, then you move forward with it and conquer them. But the interesting thing about folks and your loved ones is you don't always know what they're up to or where they stand on certain things because there's usually a veil behind it of sorts. But that's why when you're talking to family, it's good to have what's the word? Like some kind of an idea for what they do or what the stuff is. Oy, I am gonna miss my folks at one point because I know they ain't gonna live forever. Which yeah, sounds morbid, but it's like yeah, no, I'm not worried about like the meteors exploding and blowing the planet up. I'm worried about just like how long until I gotta dress in all black. Hopefully not for a good while, but I know it's gonna happen at some point. Happens to everybody. Time makes fools of us all. Although one thing I do wish was that I spoke more languages because my mom knows Spanish. And I feel like that's a simple one to an extent that I probably should have been trying to pick up on while I'm over here boxing strangers. The second I forgot about that one guy who could just be gunning it, it's like, yeah, no, he's not. He's not gonna get stopped anytime soon. Also, yeah, isn't that what's his face? Uh, so much wind today, but I'm at peace with it. So many people, so little time. Such a peaceful day. I do kind of want some like home cooked meals though. Like my mom hasn't been able to do that because she's been the only one generating stuff. So All right, I'm tired.